Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share, and play.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, here, this is the first page I have on this little book, and it's got that little flap out. And I thought it would be pretty cute with just a very slim signature popped into it. So, these are just two coffee dyed pages and folded in half. They're a nice little fit in there. I will trim the edges a little bit, but I don't need to trim them too much. I am just tearing the edges so that, gives a little bit of a different look. And then I'll fold each of them in half and they'll fit really nicely into that first signature. So I'm just checking that the height is okay. And I think it's lovely. There's a nice little bit of space at the top. There's a nice little bit of space at the bottom. So once I've folded these up and sewn them in, I've then also got a little pocket in the front and back. So then I will quickly do a journal card off some bases that I have pre-prepared. And that's everything. Now, here, even though it's a small signature, I'm still thinking about how my pages sit because one side of the coffee dye is, stronger than the other. Alrighty, so next I'm lining up the little pages against the grid on my mat to make sure that I can do a straight cut here. I'm just cutting the edges, and this is so that that page will fold in nicely and it allows room for it to fold over. So see, just so it doesn't catch on the spine. It did fit in, but it did just need a little trim. So easy peasy. Now, I was going to hand sew it in, and then I thought, no, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to do this on my sewing machine. So I inked that fold because then when I put it through my machine, sometimes I do this big crazy skewy off center line, whereas this, I can follow that line. And so that will make it much easier to just sew straight through. Now, to make sure it stays, I'm still doing the same as if I hand sew it. And that is, I am clipping the pages so that they don't move while I push them through the sewing machine. So there you go, all done. Magic of camera. And trimming the threads at the top and the bottom, not fussing terribly much. Now, I did just want to make sure that that fold is nice and strong. So what I'm actually going to do, I was thinking, do I washi tape inside? Then I thought, no, I just had a edge piece of paper and I'm gluing that around the fold. And I used my little pinky to spread the glue just so that, it was all across it. And I wanted to use my art glitter glue so it was a bit stronger. So next, it's just a matter of, fixing up the pockets, just gluing the edge of the outer one down, popping a little stamp on the top. I don't want to make it too fussy because in this one, I'm going to let the actual journal pockets speak for themselves. Doing some little thumb holes in both sides. And as you can see, when I've sewn these in, all I've done is I've just folded up the bottom of the paper. Inking the edge of that little thumb hole, which of course I should have done this before I sewed in my signature, but look, it works if you do it second. So woohoo! So wonderful about junk journals, how you can, muck about and fix up your mistakes. Here I'm just rounding the corners because, folks, I make a lot of mistakes. So it really, really, really helps. Alrighty, just inking around the edges. Now this was a splotchy ink piece of watercolour paper or mixed media paper, a slightly thicker piece that I was playing about with. So now it's a background. Just popping some little embellishment on the middle to give a little bit of a focus on the journal card, book page, flower, and a label. And voila, you're done. Just inking around the edges. Now that would be fine as it is. I just wanted to add a little bit more texture with some stamping. So here I'm just using a script stamp And this was a cheap one that I grabbed off eBay ages ago. Yeah, so front and back all finished, and voila, there's the little finished journal card for the back pocket. Fits in beautifully, nice and flat, gives an extra journaling space, and this is the base on the front. So this base, I had just collaged some book page, and then I'd sewn around the edges and I cut them up to use as, ready-made backgrounds. So just a bit of scrap paper at the top and bottom, had this little piece as my focus, and here I had a little piece that I had stamped off as a test with the word France. That was one of my Witchcraft Do You Do stamps. And I went, oh, that's a bit cool. So I cut around it. It's on a book page, so it's got a nice bit of colour behind it. And I just fussy cut. Now remember, when you fussy cut, you're moving the paper, not the scissors. You'll find it easier to cut out your piece that way. And I just did a slight ink on the edges, and voila, that was finished. Made sure it was all inked around the edge of the whole card. And then that's my journal card for the front. So nice and easy. I thought I would just do a little touch of texture on the actual signature. So here I'm just using my little checkered stamp, doing a slight border around the front. And then as I went in, all I've done is a little touch of that stamp on the corner of the pages. And that's just enough to give it, I don't know, it just gives it a little finish. It's nice. It just gives it a little touch of something on the pages as you go through. And I did the same on the top corners too. So, boom, 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 and boom. Is that it? I can't count. I don't know if that's all the pages. No, it's not. There you go. Final one. So, look, that's all. And that's my first little front, pages all ready to go. So, as a final little embellishment, just another stamp. So I did half a dragonfly on the front little flap here. And that just meant that I didn't need to glue anything else. I mean, you could do a little ruffle, you could do all sorts of things. But for this one, that just seemed to work fine. And look, I didn't need another one in here, and you can hardly see it on camera, but I popped another little one just on the inside edge, and I called that done. So here you are. Let's just have a look through. So I love the cover on this book. There we are. Opening it up, flip out your flap. You got a little journal card in there that we made together, or that we embellished together. That's why it's handy to have some bases. And as you can see, you don't really notice that little extra stamping, but it's just enough to give a nice little edge on those pages. And there's our little journal card in the back pocket. All done. So take care, everyone, and I will see you all again soon. Bye. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy.